Hello, I'm Bill Golden, CEO of IntelligenceCareers.com. Today, I want to talk to you about your market value. You know, many people believe they know what they're worth out in the marketplace. And over the last several years, with the economy being what it is and what it will yet be, your market value has changed. Some people's market value has gone up, some has gone down. Some is relatively unchanged, but you need to know. And we're going to talk about that today. But first, let me talk about USAJobZoo.com. USAJobZoo.com, we have almost 100,000 jobs online across the USA in just about every category of industry imaginable. You can also find defense and government jobs online at USAJobZoo.com. We also run another website called DefenseCareers.com, devoted purely to the defense professional in the USA and around the world in 28 countries. We have anywhere from 9,000 to 12,000 jobs at any given time. So if defense is what you're interested in, go to DefenseCareers.com. And both USA JobZoo and DefenseCareers.com are part of the Intelligence Careers network of more than 130 blogs on just about every career and topic imaginable. What we're going to do today is go through how to figure out your market value and figure out cost of living. To do this, we use PayScale.com calculators. PayScale calculators are simple and easy to use, and the accuracy is good enough that we believe that if you're making important decisions about your career, the PayScale.com calculators can help you determine your market value and the cost of living wherever you are or where you may be going. If you go to either USAJobZoo.com or to DefenseCareers.com, look at the top of the page for the Guru button. Go there and you will find the PayScale.com calculators that help you figure out your approximate market value and the cost of living from where you are and to where you may be going. It's very important to remember that your cost of living is relative to where you are, to supply and demand. Very important because, and I will give you practical examples today, your value can be radically different in another part of the country. The cost of living can be very different. And in some of the examples that I'm going to give you today, you will find that making more money is not always a good deal. Sometimes you can make less money and actually get to keep more of it. And I'm going to tell you where those jobs are as we go through using the calculators. Now here's something very important to remember. All jobs really within industry fall into just three categories. There is entry level, but those three categories that you should focus on are junior level, mid-level, and senior level. Junior level generally means that you're technically competent to do the job, but you don't bring a lot of experience with you. This could be less than 2 or 3 years experience once you've gone into a career field. Mid-level means not only are you technically competent, but you can help train the other team members that work with you. And you can be given fairly advanced tasks without the need for supervision. Senior level is very important. It pretty much means the same thing as mid-level with one major exception. The word senior almost always means leader or manager. So not only are you technically competent and you're capable of advanced tasks, but you are also, you're in charge. And that's probably going to be expected. Now senior has several other names, prime or lead or similar things such as that. Today I've picked a network administrator as my example position because every part of our economy has network administrators in it. So what I want you to do is, you can do it on your own after this video, but we've started out and I've picked a network administrator in San Diego. Now, as you can see on the chart, I've entered San Diego, the words network administrator, and once we've selected it, we get a chart that shows 3 values. These 3 values really, my interpretation, and I believe probably the best interpretation for you to use, is that these 3 values represent the income potential for junior, mid-level, and senior level personnel. Now for junior level, the number that they show really means often the maximum expected for a junior level professional in that career field. Senior level, the number shown generally means you are capable of making this much money or more. So I've had many seniors come and they've used the calculator and then said, but you know, I know plenty of people who make more than this. Of course. And I just said that the number indicated really means that you should be able to make this much or more in a senior position. Now, how about mid-level? Mid-level really means that you should make somewhere in the middle. And this chart shows a typical salary. In my experience has been that this chart is pretty much accurate. I believe that generally within $3,000, maybe $5,000 in some locations, but $3,000, that the mid-level salary indicated by the payscale.com charts is fairly accurate. What I've also done is picked several other locations. We're going to compare a network administrator in San Diego with Boise, Idaho, Dallas, Texas, Metro Washington, D.C., and New York, New York. So in the first chart that comes up, you see junior level salaries for a network administrator in the locations I just described. If you're in San Diego and you're considering the Washington, D.C. area or New York, you're going to make more money as a junior network administrator, more money in your paycheck. And I want to put a big warning on this, and we'll talk a lot more about this when we get to cost of living. You can make more money in New York and in Washington, D.C. in your paycheck, but how much do you get to keep? We're going to answer that question. But as you can also see, if you move to Boise, Idaho, or to Dallas, Texas, your paycheck is predictably going to be smaller. In this next chart, you're going to see a mid-level network administrator, and as you can see, if they're living in San Diego and considering New York or Washington, D.C., they can make more money in New York and they can make a ton more money in Metro Washington, D.C. And Metro Washington, D.C. really is the area from Baltimore, Maryland, down to Richmond, Virginia. And if you look at Boise, Idaho, and Dallas, Texas, the income, it would appear that your paycheck is going to be much, much smaller. And it will be on average. When we look at a senior network administrator who would be leaving or thinking about leaving San Diego, California, and going to any of these locations, generally the same trends are true as for the mid-level as far as income potential, with Washington, D.C. being the greater income potential for a senior network administrator. So you've seen the numbers. You've seen that your market value for the same skill set and same skill level is different in different parts of the country. But let's look at cost of living. One of the things that we do is we provide you with a cost of living calculator. And again, this is from payscale.com. Knowing the cost of living is very important for a couple of reasons. Knowing that you are moving to another part of the country, you need to know if you're offered a larger paycheck or a smaller paycheck is actually beneficial. And I would tell you, and I'm going to show you the numbers here in a moment, making less money can actually be making more money depending upon the location and the market. Making more money, even a lot more money, is not necessarily good for your pocketbook. Do the math. Use the two calculators that we provide to you, the salary calculator and the cost of living. Do the math. So in the calculator that you now see on the screen, this is our cost of living calculator. What you want to do is put the location that you are currently at or where you want to compare. And in this case, it's San Diego, California. Then put in the location where you want to go and put in the income that you currently make. And this is important because we're not only talking about cost of living, we're talking about quality of life. So what this calculator does for you is say, in San Diego, if you make this much money, you know what your life is like. If you want to go to New York or Boise or Metro DC or Dallas, Texas, will life be better, worse, or just the same? Great calculator, and I think you're going to be surprised by some of the results that you see. So in this chart, we're looking at San Diego moving to, let's start from left to right, to Boise, Idaho. What it says is you do not need as large a paycheck in Boise. In fact, you can get by quite well in Boise, Idaho without the same paycheck that you made in San Diego. And that same thing is true in Dallas. In fact, you can actually get by with even a slightly smaller paycheck than you would get in Boise if you moved to Dallas. Metro Washington, D.C., the cost of living is essentially the same as in San Diego, a slight bit more, but the question is, does cost of living being a slight bit more really make a difference based upon the paycheck you get? Because remember in the earlier slide, the Washington, D.C. paycheck is much higher than the other locations. And then in New York, the cost of living is just, it's astronomical. You can see on the chart. It's astronomical as compared to San Diego or any other of the other locations. And remember, New York actually paid less than Metro Washington, D.C. So let's look at some specific numbers, such as we have now, you move from San Diego to Boise, Idaho. Here's the bottom line. You will make less money in your paycheck, but you're going to keep a lot more money. How much? You should be able at the end of the year to put approximately $9,100 cash into savings or investments or whatever. That is $9,100 that you did not have if you stayed in San Diego. On our next chart, we're going to show if you chose to move to Dallas, Texas. Now remember, in one of the examples I gave earlier, the expected salary in Dallas, Texas is slightly less than Boise, Idaho. But yet, if you were to choose to move as a network administrator to Dallas, Texas, you would be putting approximately $12,000 in your pocket at the end of the year. So as you can see, making less money does not mean keeping less money or having less money. And this is a good example where cost of living balanced against the expected paycheck works to your favor. Now let's look at San Diego and moving to New York. This is a gigantic ouch. This is a go in with eyes open, because that San Diego paycheck to get the same quality of life in New York will cost you more than $26,000 per year. And obviously you're not going to pay out of your pocket $26,000 some dollars to live in New York City to be a network administrator. You're going to change your way of life, and that's important too. All the parts of the country and the different locales, they have their own way of living. So obviously many New Yorkers have, they have adjusted to the situation as for their lifestyle, but the important thing is, if you want the same lifestyle that you had in San Diego and you choose New York, it's going to cost you $26,000 that you don't have just to work in New York. If we look at San Diego and Washington, D.C., Washington, D.C. does have some cost of living issues, and the salaries were quite a bit higher, but here's good news. You will still end up making money by moving to the Metro Washington, D.C. area. You will be able to keep about $2,700 of your paycheck each year. Not a gigantic amount, but when it comes to decision making, are you better off? Do you have more career opportunities? And if $2,000 to $3,000 extra dollars in your pocket makes a difference, then moving to Metro Washington, D.C. would appear to be the right decision. I'm Bill Golden with USA JobZoo and DefenseCareers.com, part of the IntelligenceCareers.com network. Please visit us online, search the thousands of jobs that we have available, and I thank you for your time.